Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's the intro now. Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends. Johnny Five Alive here, and welcome to Cupcake Kingdom Let's Build. I guess the first, if you discount the coasters. So we're going to be checking out the Let's Build created by Leebies. So stay tuned, and let's check it out. All right, I am joined by the man himself, Leebies.
Hey.
And the Hot Dog Squad, Web Searcher and Wix.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
And the Missy Goods, Chant and Floss.
Hello.
Hello.
So we got the whole crew here, hanging out with Leebies, checking out his amazing work. So in total, Leebies, you said you worked on this for 18 hours, right?
Yeah, about 18 hours on and off.
Right.
Man, that's a long time.
It's going to be a two-parter, though. So we're going to be looking at a 30-minute episode, and then the next one is a 17. And Leebies did trim the footage down. All the footage you guys are seeing, Leebies kind of recorded and put together himself, trimmed out some parts, sped it up. So I think this is, 10 times speed?
Yeah, 10 times.
Very good. So, it's super compact for 18 hours, 2 small episodes with tons and tons of details. I got a sneak peek at the final results, but I didn't look too closely because I kind of wanted to savor it for the end there. So hopefully there's going to be lots of things that I catch and notice along the way. And as you can see right here, he's building cupcake houses.
Oh, I love the way you had everything set off to the side, picked from to begin
Did
with.
you add doors, windows, and chimneys to those?
Yeah, these were originally Rohana's little cupcakes.
Yeah.
You made them into little houses. That's beautiful.
I see now.
So
yes.
perfect.
I was looking at them thinking, I don't remember seeing these in one of the blueprint videos we did. Clever.
It was
Oh, that's
one of
perfect.
the things we kind of pre-planned and talked about. I was like, maybe we could convert cupcake houses, and one of the ideas was the very foreground of the park would be like small, like peasant cupcake houses, and the back would be all the cake and the royal stuff, right?
Peasant houses.
Peasant houses.
Pretty good house for a peasant.
I
mean, come
know.
Yeah.
So you did all these off screen, I assume. How long did it take you to
Yeah.
build all the cupcake houses, and how many variations?
What a
Only
sweet
took me a couple
neighborhood.
only took me a couple of hours, to be honest. But I wanted to choose as many of the little cupcakes. There were so many cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
on.
So many. So I wanted to choose as many as I physically could, really. So yeah, a couple of hours to make them all, and then it's just a case of plopping them down.
They look awesome. They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
they
are
do.
delicious little houses. I knew Chan would be thrilled at this.
Yeah, I am. I want to live in the peasant house.
Me too. Oh man.
I love that rough snow. It really looks like icing, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Icing
Definitely.
sugar.
Yeah, there's
I'm starting
super-
to lean into the screen again. You'll hear my boop alarm.
As long as you're not drooling.
How many of those hero pieces did you end up using? Because the guaranteed ones. I ended up filling the whole center of the park with blueprints that we were going to use that were guaranteed to get into the park. And when I opened up the scene at the end, there seemed to be like a couple hanging around there. I wasn't sure if you ended up using all of them.
I think there's about 3 to go in.
So those are the ones in the middle left over at the end.
Yeah. There's only a couple of ride skins.
So you basically got everybody's guaranteed blueprints in for us.
Yeah. One way or another.
Yeah, it looked like you had set them off to the side
Yeah.
to work them into the park.
Are you putting little vending machines in the houses?
Yeah, I noticed
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's nice.
When I go to theme
Interacting.
parks myself, I like to have a good nose in everything, and I thought that'd be quite a little touch. So when the guests are walking along, they have a
Definitely.
peek.
I like
Peek
it.
in the
Yeah.
window.
hmm
Oh, what is that
If
from?
we let guests in
Oh, is
though.
that the
I'll never know.
motel?
Yeah, so these are all buildings outside of the in the keep.
Oh.
So
Oh.
I pulled them out.
They
and-
look perfect there.
Yeah.
They're wedging them in. That's pretty cool. Very nice.
I mean, there's a bit later on where I make a street out of these, and filling the backs in was so time consuming. I was using a lot of extra bits. So
Right.
I've done quite a bit of what I do here. I just push them into push them into terrain, and they look a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it creates this
They look
nice
great,
little
though.
facade village here. I like it. Me and Chant had to put those stairs there. We kind of struggled with the path work on this, and I noticed one of the first things you did is you kind of pre-pathed everything, which I thought was kind of interesting. What's your kind of mindset behind that?
Well, I took a sort of a screenshot of it, and I had a rough mind map before I went in of where I wanted to pass.
Right.
And I think when I work, I like to lay it out so I get a rough idea. I mean, I go in and change most of that pathing anyway.
Right.
It's just so I've got a rough idea of where things are going to go to begin with.
Well, I've often felt it was easier to do the pathing first.
Yeah.
I'm with Leebies there. Yeah.
Yeah, I always find when you've got a blank canvas, it's a lot harder to get started.
Yeah, I'm a bit back and forth because you want to block your path around a general area, but what you did kind of felt very concrete because it's very pathed up. There's lots of micro paths, and for me, I just wouldn't know if buildings would fit there and whatnot. And I guess you just change it after. I kind of curious to wait and see how the pathing changes from the original. But having those little cul-de-sacs and little things like that, it's kind of neat. It lets you kind of visualize it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But for me, I usually end up laying it down and then go, how do I path around it? So it's a kind of a different approach.
The bunnies.
Yeah, I like this part here.
Yeah.
Those are great.
Adorable.
So did you find it easy to work with all these different blueprints or difficult?
To be honest, I found it quite difficult. I found myself using the same bits over and over again because there's so many good blueprints.
Mm-hmm.
It's finding ways to put them all in so they don't, they stand out in their own right, but at the same time they're cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
See, I talked about this too when I did Fairground Farms. It's like first Let's Build 1 or 2. I was like, it's nice, but it's super efficient having all these blueprints. Like you don't have to build anything. The problem is sorting through them and figuring out what you're going to do with them. So it's kind of interesting. Like when you're building a park, you build things that you need as you go, and you're visualizing as you go. But it's a very, very slow process. Then whenever someone just dumps it all on your lap and goes, "Here you go," you're doing it like backwards. You're deconstructing what you have there and figuring out how you're going to make it work. So it's actually a little bit trickier than meets the eye, for sure.
Yeah, there's a blending to it that you have to work with, which is kind of I've always found it a lot of fun. Yeah, blending all these different blueprints together so that they make one cohesive.
And sometimes they don't work, and you have to modify it.
Yeah,
make changes. Now, I really like what your concept here that you tackled this, because building on slope, it's tricky, and it's kind of like you can't do much with it, especially with like rides and shops, because you need a flat terrain to link anything up properly. So you're taking making a gate and like building like row buildings. You got all these knights. I don't you guys got a glimpse of it there. I don't know if anyone actually saw the finished Cupcake Knight series. I think it showed Chant, right?
Mm-hmm.
He made all of them?
Did anyone else see them? I think he made 47 of them or something.
God.
I saw some pictures, so maybe.
Yeah, they're all amazing.
I mean, the audience got a glimpse of it. You guys can go back and kind of pause it there. I don't know how I'm going to show these off in a future episode, maybe when we do like the park spotlight or something, but they are freaking phenomenal. I was like, hey, could you build me a few more variations? And he went ham. Like, there's like Dark Knights, there's Horse Rider Knights, there's like guys that are like bleeding out cupcake syrup, and, like decapitated ones, and there's so much variation. I really like the guardsmen that he added in, and I think Leebies used a couple there for the gateway and stuff, and they're very like grimacing, and I like the way they match the Countess. They're like black, red, and white. Very cool. They definitely have the presence of a strong knight. So yeah, you're doing the row buildings here, and on a hill.
On a slope, yeah.
It's really a tricky thing to do, and quite nice if you could pull it off, which you did quite a good job of it. So I quite like the way it turns out and looks, because when you have a hill like that, you're kind of like, what do I do with this, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy. And when we first discussed the process of, brainstorming ideas of what you could do, I kept on saying, feel free to redo the slope. Feel free to redo the slope. And that's kind of like with the beginning section that you guys saw where he was building the first bit against that cove. That cove is there that slope is there because of our track ride, chance ride with the story. We struggled with that a bit going into this before I gave it to Leebies, because it turns out that thing can only go up, like 5 degrees?
Yeah.
It's super, super slow slope.
Limits you quite a bit.
Yeah, so we're coming out of that tunnel initially, and I was like, okay, it's going to have this big revealing shot of Cupcake Kingdom, but instead we realized, like, oh, we're going to have to come up high, and we can't, like, just ramp it up at any point. We have to, we ended up having to do 5 degrees from the very beginning of the tunnel all the way out of the tunnel. I had to change the whole, slope of the tunnel. Then we had to add this big, terrain lump bridge thing, and then it was like, well, it comes right through the park, right? And we want to cut right through as quickly as possible. But how do you it's tricky with that track ride. We're gonna have this same discussion for every single of the sections, and what was the challenge of getting this track ride around, because the thing is, you can't cross people over it without a bridge. So it divides parks in half wherever you have it. It was that way with Fairground Farms. I cheated it with the what do you call it, the stream, the little river thingy, and the pond. And here we didn't have that luxury, so it just kind of runs right through the center of the kingdom, and Leebies had to kind of work on 2 sides of the park and have this thing just kind of cut right through, and you have one little bridge. So we have this big winding S path that goes all the way around the park, and I was like, well, this is going to take forever for the guests to get into the Cupcake Kingdom. So we just added this spiral staircase and against the wall that you ended up building up there, and you went and decorated that quite nicely. It blended in really well. It looks good, and the ramp and stuff, it goes right into the bridge. I think there's a little bit of terrain work that me and Chant will have to do to kind of fit it in. And I did notice you ended up putting a big row of fences in. And I was looking at it from the rider's perspective. It's going to be a little bit too low. So Chant, we will have to pull that track ride up to, what do you call it, to ground level, where you can actually see the whole arm.
Okay.
And then you can peer in. And I don't think raising it up like that, we can kind of look down at the whole village a little bit, hopefully, because that thing could go up quite high. But right now we have it in the ground and extended, right? So it'll kind of peak up as it comes into the village.
I love these mini cupcakes looking like little bushes.
I'm so impressed with what you've done with the
little
hill
cupcakes.
here.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of work went into this little slope. It's definitely tricky building on a ramp.
Great
I
job.
like that the coaster in the background too. Kind of you see it on top of the roofs almost when you look up.
Yeah.
This little area you're building now reminds me of Dr. Zeus in a way.
Oh.
I love these buildings from Enigmandra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful job.
They're so
That's
good.
one of the hero pieces, or chosen pieces, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're definitely gonna see. Everybody was guaranteed to get into the park. You'll see it in the next episode, or the next episode combined. Leebies got pretty much all of them in, and we have one little area. You basically built Cupcake Kingdom. You definitely did the main area. I think there's some overall, looking at the very end product, or just a quick glance over, I think we're gonna have to add a few rocks and boulders and bushes around, and lamps and benches and garbage cans. Just some small stuff. But man, you really took it to 99%. It's just this. It's sprawling. The one spot you skipped was the shoreline, which we talked about, because we are talking about a Cupcake Kingdom or Cupcake Warrior. Little war of something, the Cove guys are coming in, the Captain Lockjaw guys, they're fending them off, And so I'll probably do like a little battle thing down at the shore, and that'll be fun. And then the very back, like beside the cupcake, there's this whole little area, if you guys remember from the coaster spotlights that Synchro did, where the coaster wraps around the track ride. There's that whole right side there. So we're going to have to pass over to one more builder. And if you guys do remember, there's a whole backside to the cupcake. We might axe that. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
Well, we could always just see how it looks at the end of the whole park, right? See if it's...
My thoughts were you don't really see
and
it.
Saving pieces is gonna, I think, wherever we can. So I think, if you can't see it.
It's just a lot of, like, if you build back there, you could probably fit like 100,000 pieces or something. And it's like, well, you don't really see it from any of the rides. Is it necessary? And to make, I mean, it could be cool to have Cupcake Kingdom so vast and sprawling. It has a backside, a side, a front, and inside. But it
may not be necessary.
It may not be necessary. Sometimes that less is more is the way to go.
At the moment, it currently stands at just over 100,000 pieces, I think.
Hoo-wee! Damn.
So we're getting on for Fairground Farm territory, piece-wise, really.
Now, see that we might be able to lower it. There's that one red cupcake that's like a freaking billion, and in the spotlight, I end up asking the person to give us a reduced version. Hopefully, we can replace a couple of those. That'll bring down our part count like 20,000. Just removing the 4 or 5 of those that you put down. But yeah, I was talking while you're building that back facade. Was something we talked about was maybe building up some of the mountain, and along with your row buildings, you've also decorated the back. So you've created kind of like what do you call it? Cascading buildings up along the mountainside, and I really love the way that looks and turns out. And holy crap, a cupcake garden! That's so nice.
I was to and fro about what to do garden work likewise, because I mean
it's a nice centerpiece.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a sec, because obviously you guys are seeing sped up footage, and it's start to finish, and it seems like everything's going perfectly fine. But I've been in the same situation as Leebies, building Fairground Farms. There are struggles. So what are the things that you struggled with most? You could be from just planning out the path work, looking through the blueprints,
Yeah, I reckon, to be honest, Johnny, it's probably the blueprints. Just because there were so many of them, and it's working out what went well. There are a lot of blueprints I didn't use, and they all had sort of a industrial feel to them.
Right.
So I was to and fro about whether to have a like an industrial area where the Cupcake Countess makes all her cupcakes. So it's a bit more sinister than the nice front bit.
Right, and I do we talked about that, and I said kind of like use whatever you feels like best, and it is tricky because we said we want to try and get everybody's blueprints in, but sometimes it's about getting them cohesive and stuff. So if you use somebody's blueprints multiple times and less of someone's or none of somebody's, it's about trying to make it look cohesive and work as a kingdom. So we're doing what's best for the park at the end of the day, right? So
yeah. Just
throwing everything in willy-nilly creates you varied results. So I think, that is one of the most challenging things is those nights, getting everybody's stuff to mesh together, making sure those hero pieces get in, because that's the one where we're like, we guaranteed these to get in, and maybe one, like, look at that giant cake there. You're deconstructing it and using the flowers?
Yeah, I like those flowers. I
mean,
the cake.
Great.
I love how you're really fiddling with each bit. You're not just taking blueprints and plopping it down, and that really helps with the cohesion, doesn't it? Because you're ripping this bit over there and then mushing it on that bit over there, so it just pulls it all together.
Definitely. I love what you're doing here, Leebies.
Me too.
It has a Whoville type of feel to it, which I really like.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the trickiest things going into this, because Fairground Farms, you kind of have a reference point in your brain. I know what a farm looks like. I know what crops look like. I know what fields look like. I could probably muster something up based off of reference points in my brain, right? But then you're like Cupcake Kingdom. You're like, I have a whole bunch of cakes, and cupcakes, you're like, now I got to build a kingdom. And, you know, we talked about it, we broke it down, we came up with like the cupcake house idea. I think that definitely sets the tone of making like a village of cupcakes, because now you can kind of take the approach of another milkshake hut. Yep.
I don't think it stays there for long. No, it's
gone. Little cameo.
Oh.
So close.
I know Jen is not gonna pick your blueprint next video.
Yeah.
It's the intent that matters. But yeah, what was I saying? It's tricky coming up with like the idea of what you're gonna do with these cupcakes, and we came up with the idea of like, actually making it a village and a kingdom, and kind of building it up from the, as I said, peasants all the way up to the royalty at the end, and that's still tricky to do because the blueprints that were presented to you, that are given to you, weren't necessarily built for that. So you're finding yourself having to find challenging ways to use everybody's blueprints to, you know, make kind of a medieval thing. So that's what that's kind of like the goal here is, if you're just thinking medieval but cupcakes, and that's Cupcake Kingdom in an essence. So you do end up getting a reference point in your brain as you play games like Skyrim and things like that. So you kind of like muster up ideas. You know, you did a great job with like the gates and using the knights, and you have 2 big ramps to work with here. Or technically, we gave you like 3. So our terrain for you is very, very challenging, and you did some pretty great stuff with all the ramps and the fence work and getting the kingdom to fit around that. It does end up feeling something like, you know, that you could see in a candy version of Skyrim.
Also, this area is so much bigger than it actually looks.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and it's trying to get things to... I mean, we've got a limited amount of blueprints that fit together.
Right.
So it's trying not to get it to look too repetitive.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Which is also what I've struggled with quite a bit.
Well, you know, the truth of the matter is, working with all these blueprints is like working with a new expansion pack.
Mm.
Kind of, yeah. So, it's like a DLC.
Yeah, you gotta learn the bits, find out what you're looking at. Yeah.
The nice part about the blueprints is, of course, you can deconstruct them to a certain degree, as opposed to a DLC that's got single parts.
So long as people made them modular, because sometimes it's a real pain in the butt breaking them apart. Did you experience that? How was your experience with that, Leebies?
I can understand your frustration with that now. You want one little bit, and it comes with about 2,000 other pieces. You're then spending half an hour deleting, and then you delete the bit you wanted, and
yeah. So the how I emphasized in like 3 blueprint videos, you guys got to break these up. You understand it now, right? So I have Leebies can go to bat for me on this one. So I'm not crazy, guys. Building modular is going to be helpful for anybody building parks, even if it's not for our project. Still got to iterate on that again one last time, because anyone helping.
But on the flip side of that, some of the blueprints were broken up very nicely. A bit like I think it was Anamandra's little houses I put up on the hill. They were all separate.
Well, yeah, we did notice that. Like, that's kind of one thing I checked now in the blueprints is, how's this one broken apart, you know? And it was kind of funny going into the cupcake ones, because it seemed like people instinctively were catching on. It's like the thought was in the air, and people started to improve on that from Fairground Farms just instinctively, because they didn't really get the feedback until the videos were out or after the fact. So yeah, people are doing better about it, and it's definitely making it a bit easier. So just kind of curious to know, like, you did have that struggle, and now but it was a little bit of both. Some were really easy, some were
some were really nice, and others were a bit more difficult to work with, shall we say.
I like the way you're using these walls to tie all your areas together with something similar.
But I mean,
I love that seating area you just made. That looks great.
Yeah. I mean,
hopefully they freaking use it. Sorry.
We're not going to let people in, so it doesn't matter. Oh no, aren't we going to let like 5 people in? 6.
No, I'll let people in for the cheat engine presentation and blow my computer up.
10 people.
Yeah, we'll see a bustling park, but yeah, we probably won't have like a park spotlight where we're following all the guests around and stuff. That might not be possible. We'll see. Unless people don't mind 5 FPS. I think presentation's the way to go.
Hey, I grew up with people showing off slideshows, right? So what did you do on vacation? Where's the slideshow? Watch.
Okay, well, we'll get a PowerPoint
I
presentation.
still do that. Nothing wrong with a good slideshow.
We'll get a
There you go.
PowerPoint presentation. We'll get web searcher with a little stick and a little button.
There we have it.
And here we have the food court.
Right over here is where I gained 5 pounds on cupcakes. You'll love this.
There's cupcakes in town.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
Leebies,
gorgeous.
how many cakes have you eaten since taking part in this?
Oh.
I'm not a particular fan of cake. and that hasn't changed working in
Probably
this area.
Tell me you like pie,
something
though.
I
You like
should have
pie,
asked in the
right?
interview process. He's like,
But no,
I
if I did
absolutely hate
That's
cake,
quite
but I'll build
useful.
Cupcake Kingdom.
Yeah, why not? No, if I did eat cake, I would have put on several pounds.
So what is
Yes,
your favorite
dangerous.
sweet?
Oh, I love licorice. We had
Oh.
this chat.
Yeah, we chat about this in Discord the other day. Yeah, I strongly disagree.
I don't. I hate red licorice, but I don't mind the black one.
No.
I'm the other way around.
Yeah, me too.
Adrian Van Sorgen sent me the most intense black licorice I've ever had in my life. It's like salty. It's like a. Yeah, I was like, is this even licorice? Because it just tastes like a salt pack. It's so intense. But I didn't mind it. But you can really only have 1 or 2, and then you're like, whoa, I'm gonna have a sodium overdose or something. It's pretty intense. So what kind of
I like
licorice
how
do you
you're
like? You're
garden,
caging in candy?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I think
Is that
we're
a
probably
bank?
going a bit nuts at this point. But I had sort of an idea in my head that the Countess would hoard cake,
Yeah.
keep it locked away from everyone.
I mean, if I were
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
kind of the concept
Thank you.
of the Italians having their banks for wheels of cheese.
Yeah,
This place has got
the
their bank
Countess has it for.
I just saw it as he was having an insulin spike and decided to start caging everything up.
Well,
More work
the
on
most
this hill.
expensive cake. Oh my goodness.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I
this-
see where the 18 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he cut a lot of
This-
footage out. Right?
For some
Yeah.
reason, though, it looks like you've had a lot of fun doing this for the challenge of it.
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, I normally build blueprints. This is the first proper go I've had at doing a park. And it's definitely a different challenge, but also a lot.
Well done.
I enjoyed it.
Man.
It gives you a whole different feeling for the game, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's another aspect of it. I've always enjoyed making little blueprint parks.
Yeah, definitely. This row section I love the way it turned out. It looks so good.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
mean, this side was a lot more challenging to put in.
Because you're on the
Because you had
edge.
the fall
Oh, you
off
go
on
to the back.
It's got that curve at the end, and obviously the other side of the cliff.
I love your attention to detail. Like, always fencing things in and doing the little extra mile there. It's really nice. So we are coming up on the last couple minutes here. And I do have cinematics. I could clip that in at the end. So I thought it was interesting. Your second half looks like you did even more, but you have less time on it. What happened there?
I think once I got into the swing of it, and I mean the second section is a lot easier. I mean it's effectively one big flat area.
True.
Mm.
And you got
So
the
it wasn't-
groove.
Yeah, so it wasn't so much terraforming or working out what I was using. So that area came together a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still probably about 7-8 hours.
terraforming really does eat up some time.
Yeah.
But it also brings everything together, doesn't it?
It does, but my goodness, it's so much easier to do your terraforming first, and then when you have to do terraforming as you're building, it's a slow process to get it just right.
Yeah, and thankfully Chant did a great job of blocking out all the areas because, I didn't really have to terraform a whole lot in Fairground Farms. You didn't have to terraform a whole lot
No.
in Cupcake Kingdom. So great job with setting it up like that, Chant.
Hey, you're welcome.
I can't tell if the guy's mowing the lawn or if my computer's blowing up.
That's a big difference.
Is it coming from outside or is it coming from
I got my
next to you?
headphones on. Hold on. It's literally both.
It's both.
The guy's mowing the lawn and my computer's blowing up.
Oh gosh. Oh, I love the coaster in the background there.
Yeah, that was such a
I
nice
noticed that
shot.
too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And the boat in the water.
This is stunning work you've done, Leebies.
Oh,
very
the
much.
the colors are wonderful.
Every time you
Nice
placed
pastel.
something, I was like, oh, that looks so good. Oh, that looks so good.
The elevation looks brilliant, doesn't it? It just draws the eye up to the.
I definitely think we threw a fastball with this one. It's very big area. It was very tricky. You had a lot to bite off here, and you delivered. You absolutely delivered and did an amazing job with a very tricky and challenging task. And this is the first half before the ride. As you can see, that big black line there is our track ride. We're going to fix that up and make it a little bit prettier and do things with it. But Leebies was basically told to build on either side of it. So that's the first half of the episode, building up to that line. But you packed it full of details all the way up to the line. And it's just stunning. Look at that coaster going by.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
This really looks awesome, Leebies.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, guys. It's,
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
it's definitely a challenge, but it was so much fun to get started on it.
Well, I'm really glad you were up to the challenge, and yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Amazing.
You definitely knocked it out of the park.
If somebody built a section like this in a park in real life, I would want to go. No doubt about it.
Me too. I'd want to live there.
Definitely, yes.
I'd be that kid trying to sneak and stay overnight.
Yeah. I'd be in one of the peasant houses.
All right, so there it is, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, Leebies. Thank you for all your hard work on this. And,
You're welcome.
And stay tuned for part 2, everyone, because you get to see the second half of what he did, which is even more incredible. I think it just elevates what you've already seen here and just takes it to the next level. It looks phenomenal, and I'm super excited for the next episode because no one else has seen it yet. So we got lots to talk about, and you did it in such a short amount of time, which is very impressive to me. So great work.
Yeah.
Everyone, round of applause for Leebies.
Yay!
Thank you very much.
All right. There you go, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye now.
Bye.
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 Bye.